it's time for the pickups from Japan for the month of March. So these games did arrive in March, but I ordered them quite a while ago, to be honest with you. Some of them ages ago, in fact. So you can probably tell by one in particular because it was on one of Eddie Rollercole's video. He suggested it. And of course I saw how amazing it was and copied him and ordered it, and it finally arrived. So another thing, that game was a PlayStation game as well, which is a bit of a coincidence. It's April PlayStation month, so I am showing the PlayStation love, and I am covering PlayStation games because of him showing stuff way back a couple of months ago. So I don't know if that was sort of a genius plan by Eddie, or whether he sort of planted a seed, or I'm not sure, but it's all good and quite a good coincidence. So perfect to show some PlayStation 1 games in April, right? So let's start off with that particular game. You probably guessed it already, but it is Project Horned Owl. So I actually did have the game already. I had the North American version, but I didn't have the most important part to play this game properly, and that is the gun. Now this is a fantastic gun by Konami. I know Eddie showed this one already, so I'll just show it to you quickly. But it's a pretty cool beast of a gun, and works really well. And you just plug it straight into the console. You don't need to faff around with the composite cables or anything like that. Plug it straight in, works a treat. The actual game itself as well, if you haven't played this one already, it's a pretty good shooter, a gun game, and it's done by Alpha Systems of all people. And they're more sort of famous for their shooting games, their Castle Shigami, or they did the Sisters Royale on the Switch as well more recently. But pretty good gun game, and really works well with the blaster as well. So it's pretty standard gun game, nice levels, bit of dialogue here and there, a nice storyline. The only difference is that you've got a bit of a spread shot in it as well, which is kind of interesting, but pretty much everything else is pretty standard. But it's a pretty damn good game. I definitely recommend you play it. And that sort of started off the sort of gun game sort of trip that was on. So next up is another gun game. So this one actually I had back in the day. So I've got kind of a strange relationship with the PlayStation 1. I didn't get it till much later. It was like 1999, something like that, when I actually got the PlayStation 1 for the first time. Completely ignored it, to be honest with you. I stayed with the Nintendo 64. I was more interested in things like GoldenEye and things like that. But I actually picked one up on a trip to Jakarta of all places. So actually a lot of shenanigans happened during that. I ought to do a separate video on that, just to highlight just maybe some of the games I got on the PlayStation. Maybe do one for April later on. But definitely a lot of shenanigans happened when I picked up the PlayStation. I certainly was a bit too adventurous and got into all sorts of trouble. But that's a different story for a different day. I did happen to get a different gun at that time because I wanted the Point Blank series. So I had this back in the day. I wanted to get a gun. This is obviously Gun Bullet or Point Blank. This is the first one, and I also got the second one as well. So these are two games. So this one, and Gun Bar is Gun Bullet 2. Now everybody knows this series. It's fantastic. I love the arcade. The dedicated cabs for these are absolutely gorgeous. The side arc, so interesting, just like the games themselves, just quirky and interesting and very inventive. I absolutely love this series, and it plays so well as well. I've been playing this as well with my son and my little girl. We've been having so much fun. They can barely pick up the gun, and I'm just holding it for them so it can help them with the shooting. And we've had so much fun to this that I think I probably will pick up a second gun. Maybe try and get the the Gun Bar box set with the second gun, so we can play a bit of two-player shooting, because we've been having so much fun, to be honest with you. So that is the Point Blank series, and staying with Namco, so they had another game as well. I can't remember the name of this game, to be honest with you. You'll see it in the footage. I won't something. Shooting Saving Hoppy, or I can't remember. I can't remember the name of this one, but you got to save this rabbit, and you got to shoot all the bad little things attacking all these like birds and weird things, and squirrels are trying to kill this rabbit, and all sorts of shenanigans like logs and all sorts. but it's kind of an interesting game. It's okay. It's not the best. It's nothing compared to the point blank series. It's kind of interesting. You shoot the rabbit as well to make him duck or jump over the logs and things like that. It is kind of interesting, but it won't hold your interest for too long, I don't think. But it's okay. It's quirky, but it's dirt cheap. So I think this was about 500 yen. All these gun games here were very, very cheap. The gun itself as well. I think it was. I think I paid about £20 or something for the gun games. Absolutely mint condition. But individually, the gun bar was like 500 or 700. Can't remember. But certainly much less than 1,000 yen. So we're talking about a couple of pounds each. And staying on that as well, the other game as well. So basically, I'm getting all these from Surogai. I wanted to get a couple more gun games. I just searched in that category, in that genre, and this one came up. And what can I say about this one? This is Gun 2. Gun 2 Western Front, June 1944. And this one did not come to the West for good reason, because it is absolutely crap. You will get amusement out of this for the wrong reasons. So I was pissing myself laughing when I played this one. It gets boring pretty fast, but it's dirt cheap. This one was 300 yen or something like that. It's very, very cheap for good reason. When you see the characters running around, what were they thinking? Why? How could they actually release the game like it is? I mean, it's a bit of fun. I mean, you don't actually have to reload. You've got like a machine gun, so it's very easy. You just gun through the game. You come across some tanks and you blow them up with a bazooka. Very easy. Just terrible graphics and poorly put together, really. But for £1 or so, yeah, it's okay. There's worse stuff out there, and because it's a gun, you can have a bit of fun there. But you probably won't play it more than once, put it that way. But that is Gun 2, and I've got another couple of games as well for the gun as well. And these are on the Simple series. I don't know if you know, in Japan they had this like budget series, and they had a couple of shooting games for that, the gun games, and cleverly named. It's called The Gun Shooting. This is the first one. This is volume 24, and this is not bad at all. This is very average sort of game. You've got nice cutscenes, a bit of story there. Now you're just basically going through different types of scenery, shooting different sort of slightly varied enemies. I mean, not too interesting. I mean, the bits polygons. You're not going to have detailed enemies on this one, and you've got some nice bosses. I mean, it's okay. It's much better. It's not no time crisis or anything like that, but for a dirt cheap game, it's a bit of fun. Again, this is like 500 yen, so it's a couple of pounds. Definitely worth getting to play through if you like gun games. So something just slightly different, but it's a bit of fun. And they did follow up with a sequel, but it's not really a sequel, it's only sequel in name. So this is the Gun Shooting Volume 2. This is Volume 63 in the Simple series. This is more similar to like the Gearbolt series, the sort of like quirky sort of anime sort of story to it, and then you just sort of do some weird shooting sort of games in it. The storyline, you just like click through it, you'll get a load of Japanese text, some nice little picture or whatever, you just click, and then once you finish that part, it will open up a gallery of 3 games, then do it again, open more games, and they're kind of strange. You just like shooting like little statues in one in a shop, or you're shooting plates, or I don't think it's clay pigeons, I think it's plates. Again, I don't understand the story, so I don't know. But and then you're doing stuff like fish as well. You're trying to capture, you're shooting fish, but you're kind of capturing them. It's kind of weird, but it's again, it's a bit of fun for it's worth its entry fee, to be honest with you. It's not expensive. It's a bit of fun. You've got the gun already. Why not have something a bit varied? Have something a little bit different in your library. So I'm pretty happy to get those ones. And I've got one more gun game for you, but this one is, I would say, a little bit better. It's not as good as the Point Blank, but I like this one a lot. And again, we're going back to Alpha Systems. So they had another gun game. I don't know if it came out in PAL territory or if it's only North America only, but it is Elemental Gearbolt. I think this only came out in North America. I think Working Designs, released it. But this is fun. I mean, you don't understand the story, but you got nice cutscenes, whatever. But you're not playing for the story of these gun games, are you? You're just blasting through. A little bit thing that's different about this one is you've got to save the fairies. You've got to shoot these little green orbs and save the fairies, and you've got to shoot. Well, your gun has actually got different types of weapons on it, so you can like go through the different guns you've got. So like you've got a spread shot very similar to the Horned Owl, and then you've got a slightly different variant of your gun, but you don't get to reload on this one. You've got to be careful with your shot. So it's good fun. The first level is quite difficult to get into, but once you get into it, it's a lot of fun. Again, I was playing this one with my son and my daughter, and they're trying to hold up the gun and trying to aim for them. They're having fun shooting the monsters and saving the fairies. It's all good. Definitely enjoyed this one. It's again, no time crisis. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a fantastic game. All I'm saying it's worth its entry fee, and this one's dirt cheap as well. So you will have fun for a couple of pounds on that one. Definitely. I don't know if the Working Designs one is expensive or not. I've got a feeling it probably is. So go for the Japanese version, and or of course emulation if you want, or whatever it is. However, how you get to play these games, but definitely check it out. So that is it for the PlayStation gun games. I do have more PlayStation games. Thank you very much, Eddie. I was in PlayStation sort of focused mode, so of course I got all these from Surugai. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna get a couple more PlayStation games while I'm at it. It's a complete coincidence. I had no idea about this PlayStation April. I had no idea when these games were going to turn up, but hey, I get to cover them. And the first one is absolutely a complete dog of a game. So I just took a punt on this one. Obviously I know the series. I think everybody knows the series. It's by SNK. I actually do have the arcade game of the same name, but it's not the same. It is completely different. It is, of course, Samurai Shodown Warriors Rage 2, and yeah, it's a crap game. A 3D fighting game. It's awful. It really is awful. I mean, the arcade game wasn't particularly good, but this seems to double down on crapness, to be honest with you. I really didn't enjoy this at all. I don't know if anyone out there does enjoy it, but this is not one of my favourite games. I don't really get on well with 3D games, fighting games. You get the odd one which is pretty good, but obviously things like the more of the Tekken sort of series, but the very early when they're sort of still just playing around with it, doesn't hold well with me. I do, like I said, I've got the arcade, so this is not a Nintendo 64 arcade, it is the Hyper 64. I know, cool bit of clickbait, very funny. But yeah, this is, I would say it's better than the PlayStation game, but yeah, at the time, no one wanted this stuff. I got this years and years ago, and they couldn't get rid of it. We picked these games up for nothing, absolutely nothing back in the day, because it was so poor. Also, it was a lot of the stuff was new, old stock, because they just couldn't get rid of it. It was such a poor game. After showing you absolute crap on this one, I have to make it up to you guys with a really good PlayStation game, and I'm happy to show you an absolute cracker one. So this wasn't a punt. This one I was been after for a while, so I thought I will get this one. A little bit. I wanted something special in this. The box sent from Surugai, and this is definitely fits the bill. Not a particularly cheap game, but I'm happy to finally get this one. It is Panzer Bandit. So I got to play this also, obviously, in PlayStation Month. It's amazing game. Can't recommend it enough. Very similar to Guardian's Hero, but for good reason, because there is a connection to Treasure there, the Fill-In Cafe. So basically, originally there was a couple of guys that worked on Mad Stalker, and then one guy left and went on to Treasure and did Guardian Heroes, while the guy who stayed, he worked on this one. I think they did get reunited later, apparently, and they were working. It was Phantom Breaker. They worked on that one together, apparently. But this one is amazing, and you can see the connections to Guardian Heroes. You know, it's got that sort of planes where you jump between the two. This one's only got 2. I got it here, who's got multiples. But this is a fantastic brawler. If I could say anything negative about it, it's maybe a little bit too simple, as in you are fighting the same enemies over and over again. I mean, they are different on different levels, and it does make it a little bit different that way, but you are throwing the same characters all the time. But it's a lot of fun, and you've got quite a lot of different moves, and you can block, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's smooth as well. I haven't played this multiplayer version of this as well. I haven't played that. I don't know what it's like, but single player mode, I had a lot of fun playing through this one. And what better game to play during the month of April? So I'm really happy to own this one. Such a privilege to have it. Really is fantastic. Really fantastic. So that is the PlayStation games. I have for you. I've got 4 Super Famicom games, and then I'll end up with some PC Engine games as well. So first up on the Super Famicom is a game. I actually put a cheap little bid on Yahoo Auctions, and I actually got it. So for 7,000 yen, I managed to snag myself a copy of Super Aleste. But that is a fantastic price for this game, and it's absolute minty condition as well. Really happy with this one. If you don't know, Super Aleste is obviously it's compile shooter, not as good as the other one, the Musha Aleste, but still a damn good game. The Aleste series is fantastic, compile fantastic. Vertical shooter, obviously, typical compile fashion. You get chuck loads of weapons at you. You need to know which weapons to use at the right time. Very easy pick and play sort of game, and a bit of Mode 7 in there as well for good measure, because it is the Super Famicom after all. But definitely recommend you to get the Japanese version, because the price difference is so big compared to other regions. So well happy to get that one finally. The other one I got is a game I didn't get in the Yahoo Auction. I got it from Suragaya because I want to make sure it's legit. It's a game I've been after for a very long time. In fact, I've ordered this about three different times. This is the 3rd time lucky. The other 2 times it got cancelled because it was saying it's out of stock. Sometimes it's like that. You put in the order and they say, actually, no, we don't have it in the inventory. But it is the Ninja Warriors again. This is amazing side-scroller sort of brawler. Fantastic game. I love the original, the PC Engine, and the was it the Sega Mega Drive CD, but the arcade. I would have loved to play the arcade with the 2 screens. Never had the chance to play that. Maybe one day. I don't know if there's one in an arcade club that maybe I'll venture there and play. But the sequel is even better. It's a fantastic game. The graphics are phenomenal. The music is fantastic. Everything about this is just top notch. It's so much fun to play. Been wanting this for a very long time. I'm so happy to finally get this one, to check it off the list and to actually play it. So I played obviously the Switch version already, but I never played this version before, and I've not been disappointed. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So the next 2 Super Famicom games are sort of like quirky, sort of puzzly games. And first up is a game I probably cannot pronounce, but I'll give it a go. Is Umihari Kawazi, I think. I'm not totally sure. But this is very quirky. It's a little girl with a fishing rod, and the idea is you've got to get around the environment and through a couple of doors to the other side. And the fish are out to get you for some reason. I don't know. The fish are trying to kill you, and you've got a fishing rod to make you sort of fling around the platform. It's very strange. Sort of fishing rod has got this sort of elasticy sort of mechanics to it, so a little bit like Bionic Commando type thing. You know, when you swing around, sort of pull yourself down and flip up, and you can also use the fishing rod to kill the fish as well. They've got strange white eyes and stuff. Very strange. I don't know what's going on, but it's a lot of fun. Brutal though, to get the timing right and to get used to the elastic sort of movements. It takes some practice, and also everything kills you. Like the fish will kill you in one go. So it's quirky, it's different, worth a try. Have a look at the footage, see what you think of it. If it's worth, if it's your kind of cup of tea, give it a go. And it's £10. It's quite good fun to play something very different for that kind of money. So on that some sort of vein, a game that more people know about, to be honest with you, I didn't know. I did a little bit of research, but not too much. I just knew that it was a platformer and it gets relatively good reviews. But it is the Vanished of Hammond. So I didn't realise it's based on a manga or something like that, but apparently it is. Beautifully done, nice graphics, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. You've got two characters. You've got the main character, obviously, that's got the violin. They use the violin to kill the enemies with the music, little notes. But also you've got the other character, I think it's Flute, the little girl. And basically you need to carry her around and fling her around. You need to get her from one side to the other side of the level, and she will actually change into different animals and different sort of things. So you've got to basically got to find a costume first. So somewhere on one of the platforms, one of the level parts, you'll find a costume. Once you've got that, you can actually make her change into something. Like, for example, the ostrich, you'll see the footage. So the ostrich can go over spiky things. So that's how you get to sort of navigate through the levels. It is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, I have more fun with this one than that one, to be honest with you. Just because it's easier to pick up and play this one once you realise what you need to do. Very good game. So that is it for the Super Famicom games. So last up we have got the PC Engine games. I've just got 6 of them, and yeah, I try to pick up some random ones just to try them out. Really, there's some quite cheap ones in there. It's a really nice system just to pick up a game and just experiment. Sometimes you get a crappy RPG, but sometimes you find something quite pleasant. So first up is wasn't really a punt really, but it's a Winning Shot. It's a golf game. It's fairly obvious what it's going to be. There's also Data Reese. I'm trying to get all the Data Reese games. I think I'm pretty much done now. Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's no Neo Turf Masters, but it's definitely not a poor game. I definitely reckon if you like golf game, you definitely recommend that one to try it. Yeah, you'll see from the footage, nothing too special. The other one as well, this is another Data Reese, but this definitely is a punt. I thought it was going to be an RPG or something. I had no idea what this is going to be about, but it's a Rock Drop Horror, I think it's called. I think so anyway. So this one is kind of a strange one. I got it on Yahoo Auctions. I got it for about 300 yen or something, but then I think because Zen Market probably paid 600, you pay 300 to the people actually ordering it for you. But anyway, this is kind of a strange sort of puzzle bobble stroke Arkanoid stroke almost like centipede, because you got your little round thingy that you sort of knock the ball to knock down fruit and stuff, but then it can go quite high up on the screen like centipede, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. But anyway, it makes sense to me anyway. You'll see the footage. But it's not a fantastic game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was surprisingly good, because I thought it was going to be an RPG that I couldn't even play. So definitely very, very different, and yeah, it's worth 300 yen if you can get it, that's for sure. It's definitely worth just to experience and to play it. The last one, and it's the last last Data Reese, should I say. So I've got all the Data Reese games, and that is Shana. I don't know the full name of it, but this is basically an RPG. I can't play this one, but again, this was like 300-400 yen. So this is just purely to get the Data Reese collection. You'll see from the footage, it's your bog standard sort of Japanese RPG. Didn't get any far with it, any progress with it. It's just unplayable, language barrier there. So I've got 3 games left, and yeah, I've got a shooter for you. Wow. PC Engine shooter. It's going to be good, right? No, it's PowerGate. So I've pretty much got all the shooters that I want to get. There's a couple that I still want to get. I think it's about 3 or 4 left. I'm not going to go for things like Sapphire. That's crazy money. But for the reasonably priced shooters, there's not many left I need to get. And PowerGate was one of them, and this was terrible. So people complain about was it Deep Blue? I think this is worse. A game where your bullets are actually slower than some of the enemies. There's something wrong there. This is not a good game. You'll see from the footage. It's ugly. It plays awful. It's awful game. Very, very disappointed with it. I did hear bad things to be honest with you, so I wasn't expecting the greatest game, but I didn't think it was going to be worse than Deep Blue, and I personally think it is. So definitely something a worthy debate. Which is worse, this or Deep Blue? And if you're going to have a really good night, why don't you try both games? It'll be shooter's heaven, playing PowerGate and Deep Blue. So another shooter, well, kind of shooter. It was on the Smutch Junkies PC Engine shooter video that probably most people watched, but it is Space Invaders, the original game. This one is very hard to track down, to be honest with you. Well, it was for me anyway. It wasn't even the Surugaya shop, so I got this new Yahoo Auctions. It wasn't particularly expensive, but it's just difficult to find. It's nothing special, it's just all Space Invaders. It's just different backgrounds, but it's well done, and it's nice to have it. Last game was a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you. This one I was looking forward to for quite a while to get it. It's Taito games, so I wanted to get all the Taito PC Engine games. It's one of the last ones I need to get, and it's Hit the Ice. I love ice hockey games, but I like more sort of fluid ice hockey games, so that's very fast paced, kind of like a football game. But this one's not at all. This is a 3-on-3. It's more about just doing the brawling, and then you get some lucky shots and you'll get some goals. But it's I mean, the graphics are nice big characters, big sprites, but yeah, it's not the fast-paced ice hockey game that I was looking forward to play. No, like a Mutant League ice hockey, something like that. So a little bit disappointing, but yeah, it's all right. It's yeah, but a bit disappointing. I was expecting a hell of a lot more, but yeah, Hit the Ice. So that is all the games. Thank you so much for watching. I've a lot of fun playing some of these games, and certainly PlayStation ones as well. It's great to do something to play some of these PlayStation 1 games, especially it being April. I mean, this one was amazing. I had so much fun playing this one. I really did. And of course, getting Ninja Warriors again. What a privilege it is to have this one. Really is. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.